Zagros Mountains, northern Iran, 9:30 in the morning. 24 U.S. Army Rangers from the 75th Ranger Regiment were moving silently through a narrow rock tunnel on the northern slope of the mountain. The tunnel was a natural cave formation that connected to the ventilation system of an Iranian intelligence facility, hidden deep inside the mountain. However, the Iranians had no idea this entrance existed. For 6 months, American intelligence had been monitoring this facility. Operating from underground, it served as a regional hub where Iranian operatives gathered information, interrogated prisoners, and coordinated spy activities across the Middle East. But the most critical intelligence was this: 15 high-value prisoners were being held deep inside. The 15 prisoners included American and Israeli intelligence officers, foreign journalists, and regional dissidents. Iranian interrogators had been holding them for periods ranging from 6 months to 3 years. Bringing them home was the mission. The facility had 4 levels built inside the mountain, 80 meters deep. On the upper level were administrative offices and living quarters for the 200 intelligence personnel stationed there. Below that, the second level housed interrogation rooms and holding cells, where the 15 prisoners were kept under constant guard. Further down, the third level served as the Signals Intelligence Center, filled with electronic surveillance equipment monitoring communications across the region. At the deepest point, the lowest level contained the data center with servers storing classified information and the command center. To reach these 4 levels, the facility had 2 main entrances on different sides of the mountain. The western entrance served as the primary access point where supply trucks delivered food, equipment, and other materials daily. The eastern entrance was the personnel entrance, where intelligence officers and guards entered and exited. Both entrances featured reinforced security checkpoints with vehicle inspections and armed guards. Outside the facility, Revolutionary Guard forces maintained defensive positions. 40 soldiers manned checkpoints and patrol routes on the western approach. Meanwhile, another 30 defended the eastern personnel entrance. Additionally, 20 soldiers conducted regular patrols around the mountain perimeter. Inside the facility, another 80 armed personnel provided internal security, with 20 specifically assigned to watch the prisoner holding area. The facility commander believed the remote location and heavy security made it impenetrable. However, during months of surveillance, American intelligence had discovered something the Iranians did not know. Satellite heat detection had identified unusual airflow patterns on the northern slope of the mountain. Further investigation revealed a natural cave system that connected directly to the ventilation network. When the facility was constructed, Iranian engineers had tapped into this natural cave system to provide air circulation. They installed ventilation equipment, but never considered that the cave itself created a security vulnerability. This unguarded passage provided a way inside that bypassed all security checkpoints and defenses. 3 weeks before the operation, a small reconnaissance team had entered the cave and confirmed the route. Moving carefully through the darkness, they mapped the ventilation tunnels and identified entry points on each level of the facility. The passages were narrow but accessible. Most importantly, the Iranians had never secured this vulnerability because they did not know it existed. This was the opening the Americans needed. For this operation, the mission was assigned to 24 Rangers organized into 3 teams with distinct objectives. Alpha Team with 10 Rangers would secure the prisoner holding area on the second level and extract all 15 hostages. They would also secure one of the main entrances from inside once the prisoners were safe. Similarly, Bravo Team with 8 Rangers would assault the third-level Signals Intelligence Center and download classified data. In addition, Charlie Team with 6 Rangers would capture the lowest-level data center and command center. The operation required perfect timing and coordination. All 3 teams would infiltrate through the ventilation system without detection. Once in position inside the facility, they would strike simultaneously at exactly 10:30. Hours before the assault, at 6 that morning, 4 Black Hawk helicopters had departed, carrying the Rangers toward their target. 2 Apache attack helicopters provided escort. After flying low through mountain valleys, at 7:30, the helicopters landed 10 kilometers from the facility in a remote valley hidden from Iranian observation posts. Upon landing, the Rangers moved out immediately. Each man carried essential equipment for the mission. Their rifles, ammunition, medical supplies, and communications gear were distributed to allow movement through narrow passages. Behind them, 2 Apache attack helicopters and 2 Black Hawk helicopters waited at the landing zone, ready to provide extraction once the facility was secured. With everything in place, the Rangers moved out into the mountains. The movement through the terrain took 90 minutes. Throughout the approach, the Rangers moved carefully, using natural cover to avoid detection. At 9 in the morning, they reached the cave entrance on the northern slope. Just as the reconnaissance team had reported, the opening was concealed behind rock formations and completely unguarded. The Rangers entered the cave and moved deeper into the mountain. The passage required them to move in single file through narrow sections. As they progressed, the natural cave gradually narrowed until it connected with the facility's ventilation system. Metal ductwork appeared along the walls, carrying air throughout the underground complex. The temperature dropped as they descended further. The sound of ventilation fans echoed through the tunnels. The Rangers followed the ducts, moving carefully to avoid making noise that might alert facility personnel. The ventilation tunnels were tight but manageable. The Rangers had practiced this type of movement during training. They advanced slowly, checking each junction and intersection. After 30 minutes of movement through the ventilation system, they arrived at their designated entry positions. At this critical juncture, the ventilation system branched into separate sections serving different levels of the facility. Alpha Team positioned themselves at an access point leading to the second level. At the same time, Bravo Team moved to an opening near the third level. Simultaneously, Charlie Team descended to the lowest level access point. With everyone in position, each team prepared to enter the facility through ventilation grates. The Rangers worked silently, removing the metal covers and creating openings large enough to pass through. They waited in position, checking their weapons and equipment one final time. At exactly 10:30, the operation began. All three teams moved through the ventilation openings and entered the facility. Alpha Team emerged from a ventilation shaft into a corridor on the second level near the prisoner holding area. 20 Iranian guards defended this section, understanding the importance of their assignment. Bursting from their concealed position, the Rangers moved quickly from the ventilation access point. When the guards detected the unexpected intrusion from inside the facility, a fierce firefight erupted in the corridor. Caught off guard, the guards fought from defensive positions behind reinforced doors and barriers. However, the Rangers' superior training and equipment proved decisive. They used flashbang grenades to disorient defenders, then moved forward with coordinated fire and movement. After 8 minutes of intense fighting, the last defenders were neutralized and Alpha Team controlled the prisoner holding area. The team leader immediately directed Rangers to the cells. They found all 15 prisoners in separate holding rooms along a long corridor. The hostages were weak from months or years of captivity, but conscious and able to move. Several showed signs of mistreatment, with visible bruises and weight loss. Among them, one American intelligence officer had been held for 3 years and could barely stand. In contrast, 2 journalists were in better condition, having been captured more recently. Working quickly, the Rangers cut through the cell locks using bolt cutters and brought the captives out one by one. Immediately, medical specialists began health assessments, checking vital signs and providing water. Some were overcome with emotion, crying and thanking their rescuers. Others sat in stunned silence, unable to believe their captivity was ending. Throughout this process, the Rangers worked efficiently, distributing boots and jackets to those who had been kept in minimal clothing. Meanwhile, 2 Rangers broke off from the team and moved toward the western entrance. Within 6 minutes, all 15 were accounted for, assessed, and ready for movement. At the same time, on the third level, Bravo Team emerged from their ventilation access point into the Signals Intelligence Center. The electronic surveillance area was a large room filled with monitoring stations, computers, and communications equipment. 30 Iranian intelligence analysts worked at their stations while 15 guards attempted to defend them. When Bravo Team appeared suddenly from the ventilation system, several analysts tried to initiate emergency data deletion protocols. Responding immediately, they acted swiftly, neutralizing the guards and securing the analysts before they could destroy the intelligence. After 6 minutes of fighting, Bravo Team controlled the entire Signals Intelligence Center. Intelligence specialists immediately began downloading classified data from the monitoring systems. While Alpha and Bravo Teams secured their objectives above, Charlie Team descended through the ventilation system to the lowest level where the main data center and command center were located. At this depth, the level represented the facility's intelligence nerve center. Here, 40 intelligence officers worked in the command center coordinating regional operations while 20 guards defended the critical facility. Charlie Team emerged from the ventilation access point directly into the command center area. The sudden appearance of American forces from inside the facility's own ventilation system caused immediate chaos. The defenders scrambled to respond, completely unprepared for an attack from inside their own facility. In the ensuing battle, the firefight in the command center was intense. The Rangers used smoke grenades to obscure the defenders' vision, then pushed forward section by section. Despite this challenge, they used the narrow corridors to their advantage, controlling the angles of engagement. After 12 minutes of fighting, they neutralized the guards and the intelligence officers surrendered. Once the area was secure, Charlie Team moved into the data center and found rows of servers containing classified intelligence. Specialists immediately began copying data onto portable drives. In addition, the Rangers discovered operational plans, agent networks, and detailed information about Iranian intelligence activities across the region. By 11, all 3 teams had secured their objectives. On the second level, Alpha Team held the prisoner area with all 15 hostages safe and ready for extraction. Additionally, 2 Rangers from Alpha Team moved to the western entrance security office, neutralizing the 8 guards there and securing the checkpoint from inside. On the third level, Bravo Team controlled the Signals Intelligence Center with classified data downloaded. At the lowest level, Charlie Team secured the data center and command center with additional intelligence gathered. With all objectives secure, the extraction phase began. The team leaders coordinated through radio communication with the Black Hawk helicopters waiting 10 kilometers away. The helicopters immediately lifted off and began their approach to the facility. At 11:15, the two Black Hawk helicopters landed directly outside the western entrance that the two Rangers from Alpha Team controlled. Simultaneously, the two Apaches circled overhead, ready to engage any Iranian response forces attempting to interfere. The Rangers moved quickly. First, Alpha Team brought the 15 rescued prisoners out through the secured western entrance, helping those who were weak from captivity. Meanwhile, medical specialists assisted those who had difficulty walking. Within 3 minutes, all 15 hostages were loaded onto the first Black Hawk. With the prisoners safe, Charlie Team began preparing demolition charges throughout the facility. On the lowest level, thermite charges were positioned on the servers and command center equipment. On the third level, Bravo Team placed charges on the signals intelligence monitoring systems. Strategically positioned, these charges were designed to ensure complete destruction of the facility's intelligence capability. At 11:25, all 24 Rangers and the 15 rescued prisoners were loaded onto the helicopters. The demolition specialist confirmed all charges were armed and ready. At 11:30, the demolition order was given. All charges detonated simultaneously. The thermite charges ignited across all 4 levels. In the data center, intense heat melted the servers and destroyed all stored intelligence. In the signals intelligence center, the monitoring equipment burned beyond recovery. Throughout the facility, the explosions systematically eliminated Iran's regional intelligence gathering capability. The helicopters lifted off immediately and flew low through the mountain valleys. Inside, the 15 rescued prisoners sat quietly, some crying with relief after months or years of captivity. Throughout the flight, the Rangers maintained security as they headed back toward friendly territory. The operation's results were significant. Iranian personnel losses across all levels totaled approximately 130. On the American side, forces sustained 3 injuries during the close quarters fighting. Most importantly, all 15 prisoners were successfully rescued. Additionally, the intelligence facility was completely destroyed.